Hi everyone, welcome to Just the Two of Us. My name is Colleen. I am so happy that I finally get to do the pantry tour with you. I want to explain to you and tell you all about where we get our food, how we get it, why we do certain things that we do, what I still have left to can, and all the things. But I just wanted to tell you that the pantry is very long and narrow, and it's a bit awkward for filming, so it gives me a little bit of a challenge. So sorry about that. And my pantry isn't a Pinterest worthy pantry. My pantry to me is very beautiful. I love every inch of it, but it's a beautiful working pantry. It's not all fancy schmancy, and I don't ever want that. I love my pantry, but we are in the unfinished part of the basement. It's very cool down here, and there's all unfinished walls and everything, and I don't care one single bit. I love my pantry just the way it is. So let's get started. So this is when you come in the door. I'll show you from different angles. And then you turn to your right and it goes way down there, all the way up to the top and down to the bottom. And I have tons of storage, not just for food, but all the way up there. I can put all my jars, empty jars, full jars. And then on this side, I have potatoes. And this is where we store a lot of the canned goods that we buy and different things. So I'll go down to the other end and show you that. So now I'm at the other end. It's kind of just the same thing, just a different perspective. So like I said, it's all unfinished, but it works perfect for me, and I absolutely love it. When we bought this homestead, which was 2 years ago this month, this room was already here and it already had a couple of shelves in. And right away, I knew this was going to be my pantry, my canning room. And it's turned out to be everything I wanted it to be. Frank has gone ahead and added a lot more shelving for me. He made secure shelving. Not last year, but much earlier, I think in February, I did a pantry tour, and I can link that down below because the shelves were really empty because we'd eaten through everything at that point, and we didn't have good lighting in here. Since then, he's put a lot of good lighting in here, and like I said, fixed up the shelves and stuff like that. So it's much easier to be down here because I can see things now. We've organized it completely. And enough talking, let's start. I keep all my vegetables on this side of the wall. Every single vegetable, except for the corn, we grew in our own garden. And a lot of it was seed that we've even saved from the previous year. And we grew our own starts. And all of this came from that, which to me is just wonderful. It's such a rewarding feeling. So everything here, except for the corn, which came from a local farmer, is from our very own garden. So we have beets here, and I didn't grow beets this year. I tried to for a fall crop to do pickle beets, but they didn't work. So all the beets that are here are from last year's garden, and I purposely didn't grow them this year because I knew I still had some. And we like beets a lot, but it's not something we eat on a very regular basis. So I knew not to can them this year. And you'll see a lot of the vegetables I can in both quarts and pints. I do more quarts, but I do can a few in pints because sometimes for a supper we'll take like a pint of corn and a pint of beans just to mix things up. But I do a little bit of both. So I still have a good stock of quart beets, I have a few of the pints, and that'll get us through till next year. For sure, next summer, I will have to grow more. Now, this was fun this year. I did I canned my green beans with what Ruth Ann Zimmerman did with adding the zinc to her. Uh, when you can them, you add the zinc into the water, the boiling water, and I wanted to show you the difference. I hope it shows up on the camera. Look at the difference in color of the green beans. This was from last summer, and this is from this summer. Isn't that amazing? And you get benefit of an extra little vitamin. So we are thrilled with these, but I have to finish. I've 2 more jars from last year's beans, and I want to finish those. But I did have 1 jar. I did a lot of dry canning last summer. Now these green beans I dry canned last year because I'm trying to experiment with different things to see if they weren't turn out as soft or as mushy, and they did okay. I guess they are still kind of soft for a green bean, but honestly, we did try these ones that are nice and green, and I think that's the route I'm going to go from now on. But we eat green beans on a very regular basis, and these are 4 deep, and I have 5 across. There's still a bit here, and it doesn't look like I did any pints this year. I kind of cut back on my green beans because last year we had so many. It was crazy. And this I did last year as well. These are green beans, but I did them in a barbecue sauce. Just because we had so many last year, I was getting tired of just doing green beans. So I did them in a barbecue sauce, and they're okay. Obviously, we don't love them too much because there's still 5 jars from last year, but we'll eat them eventually. Now, for the carrots, my preferred way to can carrots is always dry canning. I'm not fond of canned carrots to begin with, and if I have to, I dry can them every single time. There is a significant difference, and I still have 2, 4, 6 of the quarts and 7 pints. And I haven't even touched this year's carrot crop. What I'm trying this year, they're in the fridge, and I'm trying to keep them as long as I can in the fridge to use them that way, because I'm still not a fan of canned carrots. But when I see they're gonna start to go soft or whatever, I will can them up. These are still from last year, because last year we had quite the bumper crop of carrots, so I'm lucky to have even last year's crop still, but we're eating through the fresh right now as much as we can. And these ones are actually from 2021, and that I still can them in water, and we won't eat them as carrots. These ones I use for baking now if I make carrot muffins or something like that. I just can't eat them. So that's all from our garden. And then the corn, like I said, we got from a local farmer. And the corn I only ever do in pints. I don't know why. I just find we just do it in pints all the time. And this year, out of I think it was the Ball Book of Canning, maybe the Amish, I'm not sure, I tried their cream corn recipe. Well, I did everything by the book. I'm not a novice canner. And I thought, oh, I'll try cream corn. Well, to me, it doesn't look that much different than their regular corn. Maybe a touch. But anyway, we haven't opened one yet to try it, but I've about 10 or 12 cream corns. So we'll see how that goes. if we don't like it, obviously I won't do it again next year. So can you still see the potatoes? Nope. I'm going to move you down a bit so you can see a close-up of things on the shelf. Like there's my stock, my ketchup, all the vegetables. Pie fillings. Here we're going to get to all like the tomato products here. Sorry, I'm free-handing the camera, so I'm a bit shaky. And then we've got like pickled peppers, coleslaw, 3-bean salad. Here I have some canned celery and dilly beans. More pickled peppers, zucchini relish, applesauce. And then down here I keep all my jams and jellies, peaches and pears, and juice. Gives me a chance to sit for a minute. Any chance I get to sit, I take it. And no, and it's not because I'm lazy. If you're new here, I have fibromyalgia, excuse me, and actually being down here in the cold doesn't do my body any favor. So, but I'm grateful to have the cold room. And that's the other thing. This isn't a cellar per se, because there's no cold air intake and all that, but this is an unheated, unfinished part of our basement. So it keeps things very, very cool. We can keep our potatoes in here, no problem. I've kept turnips in here and things like that. And as long as we keep them not touching the ground, I've kept squashes down here, all kinds of things. And it stays quite cool. That's why I'm always in a sweater. And that also occurred to me that you're always going to see pictures of me in a black sweater doing a pantry tour because I only have black sweaters. I'll have to go buy a different color sweater for the next pantry tour. Anyway, so here, this whole, well, from here on is ketchup. And you know how much Frank loves his ketchup. So I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about 30 quarts of ketchup. He goes through about a quart almost every week, week and a half. And then I did some in pints, and I will link my ketchup video down below because if you haven't tried it, it is the best ketchup, if I do say so myself. And a few people did ask me because I put Thermoflow in it, a third of a cup of Thermoflow for a big batch of ketchup, so it's not that bad. But I'm certain you could put, excuse me, Pomona's pectin or arrowroot if you're not comfortable using the Thermoflow. So if you want a really, really good ketchup that's better than Heinz and it sticks to your food, try my ketchup recipe. So we have tons of ketchup, and we had a fantastic tomato harvest this year, so I was able to do all kinds of that. So we have oodles of ketchup. And this year, for the first time, because we had a surplus of tomatoes, I was able to try a few new recipes this year. And I made the Copycat Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. And we really, really like it. I've used it on all different kinds of things, and we really enjoy it. So there's 2, 4, 6, 7. We've already gone through a couple of these pints, so I will make that again next year. And then there's a couple of jars of ketchup that I've made. This is 1921. 19, my God, 2021, that I've always made ketchup, but you know, it's always been runny or the flavor's not good or whatever, and I will not waste it. So I use it in cooking recipes now instead of wasting the good stuff. Because look, you can see how like liquidy it is and doesn't stick to your food. So I've labeled things here, cooking ketchup. So I will use that in a recipe. And then down here on this very bottom shelf is all my broths or stocks. And they've been all made here with my beef broth is made from the cow that we had butchered. We had asked to keep all the bones. My chicken stock is made from any chicken bones we get from eating a rotisserie or whatever, because most of our chicken we get boneless from the Amish, but I save them all up and I have a good supply of beef stock and chicken. I do a few in quarts because depending on what I'm making, I do both. So I'm well supplied in my beef and my chicken. And I actually did a vegetable broth because at one point, you know, when you're saving up your carrot peels, your onion skins, your celery, I had so much of that, but I didn't have the bones to go with it. So one day I just decided to can up a bunch of vegetable broth, and there's 11 quarts of this. So I can substitute it in anything that I want with that. So we're really good on the broth, so I'm happy about that. I'll have that all winter long. And we'll move down. So all of this here is tomato sauce. Again, quarts and pints, depending on a recipe. I don't want to have to open a quart if it calls for 2 cups, and then I'm left with 2 cups and I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do with that. So I do both. I also make my tomato sauce very thick, and I have a trick for doing that for your tomato sauce, ketchup, anything. It's in my ketchup recipe video. So I have lots of tomato sauce, but I go through that a lot. I use it in so many recipes, like first of all, your basic ones like uh, pasta sauce, spaghetti sauce, all that. But when I do my baked beans, I use quite a bit of it and things like that. So to me, I can never have enough. Actually, I was surprised how little I did have. I thought I canned more than I did, but it'll get us through till next summer, but not as much as I usually like to have. Then this whole section is just like diced tomatoes, I just can them like that. I don't add water or anything. And I don't know if you can, no, I'm gonna have to move you down. I figured I would explain while we're here, if you can see all my green labels, my fancy masking tape labels. I don't come down here very often, as much as I would love to. The stairs are very hard for me. So Frank is usually the one running up and down. Now I do all the canning, so it's easy for me to readily see and know what's in each and every jar. Obviously, even he can tell a green bean, a jar of corn, and that. But sometimes it's hard for him if I tell him, like, barbecue sauce kind of looks like, you know, a little jar of pizza sauce, or he could confuse it with the salsa. So what I do to make it easier for him, I just write on the things that aren't obvious. I put masking tape with what it is. And I don't do anything fancy. I'm not going out and buying labels and stuff like that, because as we eat through the pantry, things are going to condense and move, and I'm going to be moving these labels or making new ones all through the next 5, 6 months. So I just put all these labels here. It's nothing fancy, and it's for the ease of him to find things, and it keeps things organized. So that's the reason for all the green masking tape labels, but it works for us, and that's what counts. So here I have salsa, and every single ingredient in it came from our garden. Everything here. I'll just say that once. Everything in here is from our garden, so I don't have to keep repeating myself, nor do I kind of feel like I'm bragging, which I'm not. I'm just very proud for the fact that we grew it all. And I didn't can salsa last summer. It's usually something I do every 2 years. So I did quite a bit, so we're good on that. And all this is spaghetti sauce or pasta sauce with meat. And we've got quite a bit there. I usually have to do this about twice a year. I make a huge batch. I do it in one of my old canners that the weight and everything broke, so I just use it as a stock pot. And all the ingredients in that comes from everything from our garden. And this is all pizza sauce. I do some just regular out of the ball canning book. And sometimes if I'm in the mood and I have the energy, I'll do some like with the roasted tomato. I'll roast the tomatoes first, but I didn't this year. I just did that. And I also did the pizza recipe from the Freeze Fresh book that you put in the freezer. And boy, is that good. It's not your typical pizza sauce, but absolutely delicious. The only thing is it takes up freezer space, which we don't really have a lot of, but it's really, really good. All right, so down here is all my tomato juice because every time I can something in the tomato family, I can't I can't throw out the juice. I just can't. And I do use it. I can only think of 2 recipes offhand that I really need significant amount of tomato juice, but I just can't get rid of it. Like, look at that. This one is actually probably more. I would need to use it as a concentrate. It's just so good. So I have quite a bit of tomato juice. We do drink it off and on, but it's not something we readily gravitate to. And then for the very first time this year, at the very, very end of canning season, I decided to try tomato soup because I had done everything else tomato that I couldn't think of what else to do, and we still had some. And this was a copycat Campbell's recipe. And let me tell you, it puts Campbell's to shame. It is delicious. I thought I was making it to dilute it, like how you would add milk or water to Campbell's soup. This is so good. And the only thing I'm upset about is 2, 4, 5, and we've already used 2 jars. I only got 7 pints out of it, but that is delicious. So I talked about the pizza sauce. Now this was something totally new, and I did make a video on this. This came from the Freeze Fresh book as well, but it was supposed to go in the freezer, but like I said, I have no room. We have one huge stand-up freezer, another stand-up freezer that's not as big, and we have a fridge with the freezer downstairs here, and they're just full, like half a cow. We bought all our chicken in bulk. So, other things are in there. I just didn't have the room for all these jars. That would be veggie marinara. So I had to pressure can it. And it pressure canned beautifully. And it's a veggie marinara. It is so good. It has tons of vegetables in it. Zucchini, carrots, onion, green beans. I think there's peppers. It's just so good and so healthy. We've already gone through several jars of this. It's so good. I can almost eat it just like that as a soup. All right, I'll move you down again. This is part of what I said at the beginning that I still need or want to can. I usually keep a pretty good stock of jar meals on hand, like beef stew. Here I have pulled pork in different sizes. I do have some chicken here, but I haven't gotten around to it, and I'm trying to make this coming week or the week after a big priority because I find them very convenient. I still have you'll see here soon, my tons of potatoes. I have carrots still in the fridge. I have tons of stew meat and other meat in the freezer that I can make all kinds of jar meals, and then it would free up freezer space as well. So normally I would have like a good chunk here of jar meals, and that's what I have to get working on. I usually make a hamburger soup to jar, beef and barley soup, all different things, and I just didn't get around to them. So all along here, all this part here is pie filling. So I have blueberry, and what I do is if I have more than fits into quarts, I just stick it into little jars. And then sometimes I make a lot of hand pies through the winter because to make a big pie, we don't go through it fast enough. So doesn't bother me what size it goes into because I make a lot of hand pies. And here we have apple, peach, and pear. It's my first year doing pear pie, and we absolutely love it. And I don't know if you can see way back here is my marinated roasted red peppers. These are the Advarsky peppers. And I had that big dilemma where I couldn't find the recipe that I'd used the previous year. So some of it's done in a new recipe and some of it I winged it. But we've already opened a couple of jars and they are very good. So, and I still can't find that original recipe. All right, we're moving along. I may need to take off my sweater. I'm starting to warm up down here. Maybe it's the lights. Okay, so these are dilly beans. There's only 2 jars left from last year, and it's not something we really liked. I just tried them. Everybody talks about dilly beans, but it's not something we gravitate to. I have 2 jars of celery. I dehydrate celery, which I think is my preferred method, but the odd time, if I get it on sale and I get a bunch of it, I will can it, and then I just throw it into soups or stews. And the best part of canning celery is the liquid that you're left with at the end. Oh my gosh, it is just so full of flavor. So I only have 1 jar of that. And this is always a hit. And it's great to give as a gift because anyone I've given it to, they just love it. And I love eating it in the winter because it makes me think of summer or it tastes like summer. So I have 3 bean salad and everything again, but the kidney beans and I guess like the chickpeas or garbanzo beans are from the garden. And I did 2 different recipes just to see if there was a significant difference. One of them was from the Amish canning book and one of them was from the Ball. And the only difference is one is a little bit more vinegary. Here, can you still see? This is coleslaw. This is from last year because we had such a good cabbage harvest that we didn't this year. So I'm glad I canned extra of it last year. There's a few jars, and then this is just the purple cabbage in a simple brine, like just a regular vinegar brine. This one's a sweeter brine, which I prefer, but I don't just eat it as coleslaw. It's great to put on a hamburger or when you have like a bratwurst or something like that. I really like this one. And we did the veggie. How far can you still see? Okay, here. This, I have a dilemma because these are from last year. I'll get to that in a sec. These are just pickled peppers, just all random bell peppers we had left over because we had so many, which was a huge blessing. We had so many peppers, and I just ran out of things to do with them. So I just put them in a simple brine, a little bit sweeter, like more of a sweet, like a bread and butter brine more for pickles. And they're not bad. We've been eating them here and there. So this one I like better as opposed to, I did this in my last pantry tour. These ones, I did all kinds of vegetables. I put in here cucumber, bell peppers, all different things. and I tried different brines of them, and they're okay. And I'm sure some people would really like them, but I don't know why. We just don't go through it as much, and they're just sitting here. So we have to really make ourselves eat them, and I don't know why we don't. I guess we just don't eat a lot of that type of food, but just the peppers alone I'm enjoying better than those jars. All right, let's shift again. So the only other thing really here, oh, I have lots of sweet pickle relish. I did 2 different recipes, and this was from last summer, and I didn't do any this year because we still have some, but we only use it like on hamburgers, that type of thing. Again, not something we go through a lot of. So all down here is applesauce. And I do it in all different kinds of sizes because it depends what I'm using it for. This size would be for like Frank and I to have as a dessert or something like that. If one of us just wants a single serving, I do it in that size. This would be more like for baking if I needed like a cup of applesauce. So I do it like that. And then this last year I did the applesauce with leaving the peels on. That's why you have the darker color. And the flavor's still good. And as much as I blended the heck out of it, I still find the texture a bit funny. So I won't do that again. It's very tasty and a bit more nutritious because the peels are on it, but I don't think I would do that again. I much prefer it like this. So we're good on applesauce. So all here are my jams. So all my fruit we didn't grow here. All my fruit is most of it from the Amish, and the blueberries and strawberries I buy from local farmers from right around me. So all the vegetables we grow, and the fruit I support the Amish and 2 local farmers around me. So this is pear jam, and I thought this was interesting. Look at this. These were pears that were just starting to go ripe, and these were pears that were really, really ripe. And look at the color difference when it cooked. They both taste good, but I thought that was really neat. And this is very popular. A lot of people ask for my pear jam. And then I have strawberry jam. This one is like, oh, this is apple pie jam. Oh my gosh. It's literally apple pie, like in a jar. And your typical blueberry jam. So that's all I have in jam. Oh no, I have a Christmas jam. That's strawberry and cranberries together. And I usually give some of that away at the holidays. These are my jellies. I have apple jelly, just used leftover using the cores in that. Grape jelly that I got the grapes from the Amish, and I also made grape juice from that. And from the apples, using all like the cores and the skins, I made some apple juice. And then I have apple butter. And again, I make it in different sizes. So let's say I just want a bit of apple butter. Frank's not a huge fan of it. So if I just want one, I'm not opening a whole jar for nothing. And then I did a bit of pear butter as well. And then all the fruit here is done in like a very light syrup. It's not just water. I just put a bit of sugar in it. So I just did peach slices there. And then we ended up with more pear than peaches. we bought the same amount of bushels, but there was way more pears, obviously. The best peaches ever I got from the Amish. They were huge, so it was a pleasure working with them that I didn't have to peel a whole bunch of little ones. So all the pears are there, and we both love having that all winter long. So I did the juice, the corn syrup, and I think that's it as far as jars go. So I'll back you up a bit and explain what's on this wall. So here's some of the potatoes we keep here. There's wood underneath them so they're not touching the floor. Here's some of what's left of our awesome sweet potato harvest. And there's jars that I have to put away. This is evidence and proof of how we go through our jars, our pantry. This is probably from about a week and a half of eating out of our jars. So I wait till that bin kind of gets full and then I start putting them away. So there's our potatoes. We do have 2 more crates like that that we keep in our wood room because it even stays cooler in there. And then here I just have like extra vinegars and oils, coffee, pastas, and the macaroni has to be put in a better thing than that. Underneath it is spaghetti. And then all along here, you're right, that's a lot of tuna. When we were passing by a little town a couple of weeks ago, Frank ran in to get something, and this tuna was on sale for 98 cents a can. And on sale, generally, it's about $2.98. So he picked up a bunch of tuna, and we like it. So that was a huge savings. And just extra things, little extra veggies and that, just to have in case there was an earthquake and all my glass jars fell. And this is for when we like to have our hot chicken sandwiches, just like what's in the picture. And because I haven't made my beans yet, Frank keeps a few cans around. And then I feel guilty I haven't made them. This is our favorite kind of peas. And then some breadcrumbs, and those crackers have to get better packed away. I make a creamy salad dressing for me. I don't like Italian, and Frank does, so he buys that at Aldi. And then alcohol for my cleanser. And oh, all up there and there and in various other places is just water that I have canned, just to have water on hand for emergencies. And all these boxes you see up here, those ones are all quarts. And then mainly over there, they're all pints. They're all full of jars. I've been very, very fortunate that I've ever really had to buy jars in a store at full price. Most of these, and you can tell by some of them have like the very vintage boxes and that. We in the area we live, there's a lot of auctions, like, good old farm auctions. And I have bought 80%, if not more, all of my jars through auctions. And up there is huge, big gallon, half gallon jars that I use a lot for storing my dry goods. So all the boxes that you see at the top, they're all full still of empty jars. And the pints back there, most of them are still full. So I do have a lot of jars, and I still get excited when I see some on sale still at an auction or whatever, but I think I'm good. But, you do lose some every canning season or whatever, and anyone ever needs them, I'm more than happy to share. But like I said, I still haven't done a lot of my meals in a jar, my soups, things like that. So I'm always happy to have extra than not enough. The only jars I really have had to buy are jelly jars. For some reason, I don't see them at auctions. I have bought some off Facebook Marketplace, but a very small percentage. Most of them have been coming from auctions and pennies on the dollar compared to what they are in a store. And some of them are the really nice vintage jars too that you can, if you did find them, they'd be very expensive somewhere else. So I'm very, very lucky for that. All these jars would be, they still are a huge investment, but not what it would be if I had to buy them all brand new. When I look at all of this, I do feel very proud, and it's not a brag or anything like that. I feel great that I can grow our food and then preserve it, and then to know for months that we have this food security, that we can eat healthy, know what everything is in our food, and we hardly ever go to a grocery store except for the few little hauls that you see. That's all we ever get. I hope you enjoyed this pantry tour. I hope I didn't ramble on too much. I wanted to show you what we have, where we get our food from, what we do with it, and what I still have left to do. I still want to make a few meals in a jar and some soups and things like that. And in the meantime, we'll be eating through this, and I'll probably bring you back like at the end of February. I do the every bit counts challenge from Jessica at Three Rivers. And at the end of February, you'll see how empty these shelves will start to be. Certain things won't all be gone, but there'll be a big dent, and that's how it's supposed to work, to us anyway. I don't do all this for it to sit on the shelf. And then by that point, I'm already almost planting my indoor starts for next year's garden. And it's a beautiful cycle that just continues. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'm so happy that you came along on this pantry tour. And until we're together again, take care.